Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to Hard Truths, the place where we cut through the noise, get real about what actually matters, and remind you that success means absolutely nothing if it costs you everything that actually makes life worth living. So today's episode, it's one of those that might just change your whole perspective. We're diving into something that a lot of high achievers, grinders, and hustlers ignore until it's too late. That is the danger of chasing success so blindly that you forget to actually live. Let me tell you about a conversation that stopped me in my tracks. Lately, I've been helping a friend's house hunt, and you know how it goes. Open house after open house, every weekend jam-packed. But one particular showing stood out. It wasn't because of the marble countertops or the view. It was because of the listing agent. See, this guy was a South African guy, heavy accent, great energy, just a warm, kind presence. You know when someone just radiates calm wisdom? That was him. So, as we walked through the house, he started talking, not about square footage or pricing, but about his life, how he came to the US and started from scratch, absolutely nothing. It was crazy because this guy was a prison guard, then a train operator, then a taxi driver, then an Uber driver, and finally a real estate agent. But it was what he learned during his Uber driving days that really hit me. See, he picked up this older gentleman one day from one of his jobs. And I live in Washington State, and we have this beautiful city called Bellevue. This place houses millionaires, beautiful big mansions, right? So he picked up a gentleman from one of these beautiful big mansions. And you know the kind. You go up to the house and it feels like you need a map to find the kitchen, right? So curious as to what this guy did, he asked him two fine questions. The first being, how did you become so successful? And that man said, I worked my ass off, built a company, sold it. The second question was really good. He asked the man, what's your biggest regret? And without hesitation, I don't have a relationship with my kids. And that silence that followed, man, it was heavy. You could feel the weight in the air. This guy had all the money in the world, but no real memories. No legacy that felt good to him. Just a mansion full of echo. See, that conversation got under my skin because I've been there. Maybe you have too. You ever get so locked in on leveling up that you looked up one day and realized you haven't had a real conversation with your family in weeks? Or that you crushed your to-do list but didn't even laugh once that day? You ever feel like you're chasing all the right things, but it still feels kind of empty? See, that's not a glitch. That's your spirit trying to tell you something. The grind is glorified, but nobody talks about the quiet sacrifices, the missed birthdays, the fading friendships, the partner who says, you're here, but you're not really here. And here's the thing. Most of us don't even know why we're grinding so hard. We say it's for freedom, for security, for our future family. But if you never, ever are present, what future are you really building? So as always, let's unpack this from a brain science perspective. There's something called the arrival fallacy, right? It's the belief that happiness will finally come once you arrive at your goal. But research shows this is rarely the case. You wanna know why? It's because our brains are wired for the pursuit, not the finish line. See, dopamine, the reward chemical, it spikes when we're chasing goals, not when we hit them. That's why achievements feel so good in the moment. But then we're already thinking, what's next? Then there's the hedonic adaptation. The idea that no matter how good something is, you'll get used to it. Check this out. Think about it. A new car, a new job, a bigger paycheck. Eventually, it all kind of fades into your normal, like it's your new norm, right? You ever felt that? You finally got what you worked for, and a week later, you're restless again. We adapt fast, and we forget even faster. let's talk about another layer, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once our basic needs are met, we are wired to chase meaning, not material, purpose, connection, love. That's what sits at the top of the pyramid. And that's backed by real research. See, the Harvard study of adult development, and this research spanning over 80 years, found that the biggest factor in long-term health and happiness wasn't money, fame, or even fitness. It was strong, supportive relationships. The people who thrived, those were the ones who had deep, reliable, emotional connections. So if you've ever asked, why don't I feel satisfied after all this effort? You're not broken. You're just human. You're wired to crave belonging just as much as progress. And check this out. This is a quote I keep close. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And that's by Dolly Parton. That's the real flex. You see, yes, build the empire. Yes, run your playbook. But don't forget the original dream. To feel alive, to feel connected, to feel peace. Because if you die rich but alone, what did you really win? Alright, here's your challenge this week. I want you to pick one person in your life who matters. Not just someone you should reach out to, but someone you want to reconnect with. And actually carve out time for them. I want you to call them. I want you to visit them. I want you to sit with them. I want you to really listen. Remove the phones, put them on silent, put them away. Then, look at your calendar. Where are you leaking time? Where can you swap out the scrolling for a real connection? You're not just building a brand, you're building a life, brick by brick, interaction by interaction. So it matters. And if this episode hit home, do something with it. Don't just nod and scroll. Take one tiny action that says, I'm not trading legacy for loneliness. And that's it for today's episode of Hard Truths. Thank you for showing up, for listening, for reflecting. You're not average. You care. And that alone puts you ahead of most. Tag me at Danny Livin, DANNYLYVIN, and tell me, who are you showing up for this week? This is Hard Truths. Until next time, build your life, but don't forget to live it.